Welcome to the channel viewers, Dr. JWA, youth theologist. Since 1994, the Jehovah's Witness Cult Deception Series, episode 47. The double life structure of the Watchtower, when the Jehovah's Witness learned to split themselves in two. The bedroom light stays on long after midnight. The browser window closes quickly. Another one opens, then closes again. And down the hallway, the house stays quiet. Tomorrow morning, the family will dress for the meeting like every other week. Nothing outwardly appears unusual, and that is what makes the fracture difficult to see. In episode 46, the last episode, observation pressure slowly trained the Jehovah's Witness to regulate themselves beneath constant visibility. And in this episode, the pressure moves further inward again. The Jehovah's Witness self begins splitting. Not publicly, privately. A young publisher speaks confidently during Watchtower study, then spends the night searching questions he would never ask out loud. Someone pioneers during the day while secretly drinking alone afterward, thinking of the female Jehovah's Witness he shared the cart with. A married brother deletes conversations his wife never sees with other female Jehovah's Witnesses. Another person laughs at organisational jokes he internally no longer believes. And the congregation continues functioning normally around all of this sin. And for the Jehovah's Witnesses, this is the danger. Inside these Watchtower religious systems, the Jehovah's Witness does not always collapse openwardly and outwardly first. Sometimes they separate inwardly while the appearance remains stable. Once self survives publicly, another survives privately. And over time, the distance between them keeps dividing and widening. And the pressure settles into ordinary behaviour. The Jehovah's Witness rehearses answers before conversations begin. Certain thoughts become restricted to private spaces only. Deviant thoughts, the women towards the men and the men towards the women, thoughts that shouldn't be allowed. And someone learns how to sound spiritually certain while carrying growing contradiction underneath the language itself. Nothing dramatic announces the change. The adaptation becomes routine. And that drift becomes existentially corrosive, because maintaining divided identity slowly exhausts the conscience beneath the performance required to preserve belonging inside the Watchtower. The atmosphere keeps reinforcing this quietly. One version of the person stays visible, while another version remains hidden behind screens. Silence, appetite, fantasy over the members in the hall, secrecy to these thoughts, and even controlled speech. And the Jehovah's Witness begin protecting the image externally while unresolved sinful tension keeps expanding privately underneath the Watchtower structure that's supposed to be holding everything together, but it's not. A father lowers his phone quickly when his children enter the room. Someone deletes browsing history before prayer. Another Jehovah's Witness stops making eye contact during certain discussions because inwardly the fracture has become harder to manage. The lust is escalating. And in the meantime, nothing outwardly collapses. The meetings continue, field service continues, comments continue, the lust and the sin underneath continues. And internally, the Jehovah's Witness keeps dividing further underneath the performance, superficially being maintained. The scripture moves directly into that fracture. Psalm 139, 23 through 24, ask God to search the inward parts honestly. James 1:8 warns about instability within divided-minded living. John 3:20 describes people hiding what cannot survive exposure to the light. And in the midst of all this, the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society culture repeatedly reinforces visible spiritual routine, behavioural conformity, approved expression, and organisational loyalty throughout family, congregation, and personal structures. The pressure rarely announces itself openly. For the Jehovah's Witness, it usually arrives through concealment, private compromise. Instead of sleeping with the woman that he fantasises about, he'll masturbate. Carefully managed appearance at the Kingdom Hall. And eventually the Jehovah's Witness becomes skilled at protecting the version of themselves the environment rewards most safely. The house finally goes dark. The phone screen disappears. The meeting closed, still wait prepared for tomorrow morning. And somewhere underneath the silence, another private fracture survives unseen for another night, for one more night. I'm Dr. J.W. Morrison, Dr. J.W. Ayub, formerly Morrison. My step name, now Ayub, my real name. Theologist since 1994. Like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. Comment to educate me and share the video to help somebody else, and I'll see you in the next talk.